Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. My favourite place in the whole wide world. I have been having a little bit of fun today in between entertaining a friend for coffee and going out for a walk and doing a bit of exercise. I'm in week 4 of my fitness challenge of 3 times a week, 30 minutes, upper body. Week 4, which means I've earned so far 3 balls of yarn. I will just put my little fitness challenge logo right in there. Very exciting. I'm up to 8-pound dumbbells now. I started with 3 and then 5 and then 8, and I'm having to be really careful not to hurt my shoulders. But so far, I'm doing okay. It's also a very challenging week for work. I've got 3 full days in addition to a short shift on Friday. And so this was such a little precious day right in the middle of the week where I got to make stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yes, the sewing room is a mess. Oh, I tested out the little iron today, the new Dritz Mighty Steam Iron or something it's called, that I bought last week. And when I first used it, it didn't seem to be steaming or anything, but it was working. It was heating fine. But then the second time I used it, the little tiny steam thing was going, and it was so cute and it worked brilliantly. I used it for just ironing some binding in half and a couple of other little things. And I'm really, really pleased with it. It's so nice and light and so easy to hold. I love it. Anyway, there'll be a bit more about that in the video. So I've this is going to be kind of a piecemeal thing because I started to film something the other day on the basis I was going to do a separate review video for the Lion Brand Re-spun. Just changed my mind about that. I'm just incorporating the whole re-spun thing with the crochet beanie into this video. So it's going to be crochet, it's going to be a bit of yarn talk, and there's going to be some sewing. And the sewing is my slow stitched journal wrap number 2, Mark 2. And I'm really excited about it. I just finished it, but I won't show you it right now because this is the beginning of the vlog and you'll want to see that later on. So excited because it came out so beautiful, so beautiful. So not a lot else to say. I have been reading a tome this week, Ken Follett, and it's called The Armour of Light. If you've read any Ken Follett, you'll know his stories are epics. I did read the one he's most famous for, most well known for, I think. He is well known for his, okay, it was called The Pillars of something, Pillars of the Earth. Hang on a minute, it does say on the book somewhere. Oh yeah, it says right in the front. New York Times best-selling author of The Pillars of the Earth, and I did read that a long, long time ago. And I enjoyed it. It took a bit of getting into. Same with this one, but I'm really glad I stuck with it because, yeah, it ended up being a really good read, and it's based at the end of the 1700s and the beginning of the 1800s in England, in a presumably fictional town called Kingsbridge, and it's really, really, it's a really good snapshot of the class system and how the nobility and the serfs were treated so differently. And it also covers the period when Napoleon was ruling France. He wasn't the king, Napoleon, but he was leading armies all over the place, trying to take over lots of countries. And the Battle of Waterloo is towards the end of the book. So that period. And yeah, you get really invested in the characters and it's lovely. So I recommend that if you want a good read. It's a really thick book, mainly because it's a large print book again. And I've started another one. It's called, I can't remember what it's called. I am terrible with book titles. I can be in the middle of a good book and not know what the book title is. But I've started a Karen Slaughter one now. And that's going to be my reading for the next week, maybe. It doesn't take me long to get through these when I get stuck into them. So, at the moment, slow stitched journal and crochet. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything else. There probably will, but at this point I don't know, because I say I've filmed a few little clips over the course of the last few days. I'm going to have to try and get it edited into some sort of cohesive whole and see how much footage I've got. This yarn appeared at my Michael's, where I actually work, recently, and I was very attracted to all the lovely heathered colours that it has. So I picked up a ball of it in Alpine to give it a go. It's called Lion Brand Re-spun. It says sustainable stitching, re-spun 100% recycled polyester from recycled plastic, keeping bottles and other waste out of our oceans and landfills. It's a 10-ounce skein, 284 grams, 658 yards, 602 meters, so pretty big. Machine wash, tumble dry, low. And it's retailing at Michael's in Canada here for $10.99. So definitely use your coupon if you only need one ball, or even if you are getting more balls than that, still use your coupon on at least one of the balls. So what I decided to do was, rather than just make a teeny tiny swatch, I'm going to make a beanie out of this, and I have picked a pattern called the, let me see if I can get this correct, the Snowy Wheat Puff crochet hat. If that was wrong, I'll put it correctly on the screen underneath. And obviously I'll link it in the description box as well. And it's by Brianna K Designs. I found it on Ravelry, which is where I find all the patterns that I use. And it's a paid pattern if you want the written version. It comes in a bunch of sizes. But she does have a video for, I think, the small adult it is, for free on YouTube, which you can access anytime. So that's the one I'm going to follow. It is constructed sideways, so I think that I can easily adjust it. If I feel like the small adult isn't big enough for me, I think I can just add another section of the stitches. In the video tutorial, she does not include any sort of gauge information. I've only just watched the first couple of minutes of it, but she got into starting to put stitches, get stitches going, and she hadn't mentioned it at that point. So the Ravelry project page, I think, says something like 17 stitches and 12 rows to 4 inches or 10 centimeters, but it didn't say in what stitch. It didn't say if it was in the hat stitch pattern or if it was just a double crochet or a treble in the UK. So I'm going ahead without a gauge swatch because that's what I do. It's a beanie, and as I said, with the sideways construction, it should be easy to change the circumference of it if I need to. And I'll see how the height's coming out after the first few rows. I'm looking forward to this. I haven't done a decent crochet project in quite a while. It'll be nice to get things going on the hook again. The video tutorial calls for a 5mm hook. The yarn itself calls for a 6mm, but having a look at the yarn, I'd say that is fairly thin. It's definitely a worsted weight rather than an Aran, at least that's what I would call it. So I'm not going to worry too much about the wrong hook size. I think 5 should work fine. First impressions, as I said, the colours were what drew me in. Lovely, lovely colours. I did a shorts not long ago where I scanned through all of the colours on the rack. If you want to check that out, that would be probably end of July, beginning of August 2025. And yeah, it does feel like not the softest yarn. It may be a teeny bit rough, maybe sort of feel like a rustic wool even. But I won't really know what it's like to work with until I get started. Well, this is quite a nice pattern. I don't think my tension is that good on my puff stitches. They're looking a little bit messy, to be honest. I'm thinking probably they might get better as I work through this hat, but it's no biggie. I will definitely be tossing it in the washer and dryer when it's finished, because I want to see how it washes up and if it feels any softer. It feels fine when working on it. It's not as soft as some acrylics or polyesters, but it's not uncomfortable to work with. If I rub it on my neck or the inside of my wrist, it feels fine. I think it would be okay worn as a beanie when it's on my forehead, touching my skin. This is definitely my colour. Definitely my colour. Although I almost went for the pink. And it's quite a simple repeat. So now that I've got established with this pattern, it's just 2 rows of single crochet in the back loop only, and 2 rows of the puff stitch pattern, which is easy to memorize. And then you really just keep going until it's wide enough to go around your head. She has these last 4 stitches of each row as single crochets, so that when you gather up the top of the hat, it's not as bulky. And this is going to become the brim, these 14 stitches here. I did the deep brim, so it has the turn up facility. I think this is going to be a nice beanie. I don't think I'm going to put a pom-pom on it. I'm always a bit wary of beanies that have the whole gathered up, the whole fabric at the top. I do like a beanie with crown shaping, but we'll see how it turns out. But the yarn so far feels pretty good. Don't you just love this bag? I love this bag. I made this a little while back, and I did that method where you put lots of 2-inch scraps onto interfacing and like a grid of interfacing, and you just fold it along the raw edges and sew, and it just all stays in place and it looks so neat. Absolutely love this bag. Anyway, I'm digressing. Change of plan, because I was originally going to do a separate video for reviewing this yarn, and you know what? I don't think I am now. I don't think there's going to be enough to talk about in a review of this particular ball of yarn, and I think it's just going to be part of the vlog. I just realized I didn't put my I did not put my stitch marker into the stitch, and now it's unraveling. Never mind, it'll be okay. Obviously I'm feeling a little manic right now. Okay, what do we have? We have a started beanie. It does not look like a beanie, does it? It looks kind of weird right now. I love this stitch pattern. This beanie is made side to side. So this is going to be a turn-up brim, a ribbed brim. And there is a little ribbit part. It's a frog beanie, it's a ribbit. This is a little bit of ribbing for the last 4 stitches at the top, because at some point, when we have got enough width to sew it into a tube and then gather up the top, that's what we will do. And there is less bulk at the top by making this kind of crochet ribbing. It's not the quickest stitch to work. I feel like I'm actually reviewing the pattern more than the yarn right now, but anyway, I'll get there. The pattern is pretty straightforward. It's got this single crochet in the back loop idea for the ribbing, which I've done before, but what I've often done before is made a brim out of this and then gone back and worked from the edge of the ribbing for the body of the hat. This one is done all in one, which is actually nice, because sometimes it's like in knitting or crochet, when you're picking up stitches along a side edge, sometimes it can be challenging to know where to put your needle or your hook and how many to pick up. This is all incorporated and it's nice and neat. It's got these nice ribs that go up and travel up straight from the crochet ribbing. It looks really good. My tension on my puff stitches is not perfect in places. There are a few loose bits, or looser strands, but I'm thinking that maybe if I toss it in the wash at the end of it all, it'll probably even out a bit. And even if it doesn't, I don't care. I think it'll make a really good winter hat. So, thoughts on the yarn, because that's what I was promising everyone I was going to do, was review the yarn. Definitely not the softest acrylic. Oh, no, sorry, it's not acrylic. It's 100% polyester. I keep calling it acrylic. Not the softest yarn out there, but I do like it all the same. It's not a humongously thick yarn for worsted weight. It is working well with the 5mm hook. And I can see why the ball band recommends 4.5 for knitting, because, as I say, it's not that thick. But obviously it depends on your tension. It depends how you knit and what you're making and what gauge you're looking for. I have not checked my gauge on this. The Ravelry project page did give a gauge, but it didn't say what stitch that was measured over. It could have been double crochet, it could have been single, I don't know. I'm sure the paid pattern probably tells you, but the video doesn't. So I just went and did it, and I've measured this, and it seems to be perfectly tall enough. This is about 12 inches from top to bottom, and I think it will be fine. The nice thing about sideways construction is you can just keep going until you think it'll go around your head with a little bit of negative ease. It's quite a bit of stretch there. Oh, it does look nice when you stretch it out like that as well. I like it. I do like it a lot. See how that crochet ribbing really stretches beautifully. I think this yarn would be awesome for making a Guernsey or Gansey sweater if you were allergic to wool and you wanted a wool-free option for making a sort of fisherman's sweater. This stuff would be fantastic. And they probably do it in a lovely fisherman blue, like the traditional ones. I know they had shades of grey. I can't remember what all the colours were now. But yeah, I can definitely see making a Guernsey or a jersey out of this. And having a textured stitch is really nice. I am an impatient person, as I'm sure you already know. And this stitch is kind of slow. It's got 2 rows of single crochet in the back loop and the 2 rows of this puff stitch. And you're skipping a stitch, single crocheting in this stitch, going back to the one before it and doing this kind of puff stitch. And whilst it looks lovely, it's not the fastest one to work. And so I'm just having to tell myself it's not a rush. It doesn't have to be done tomorrow. And channel my slow stitching self. You know, I'm embracing the slow stitching, so I should be embracing the slower crochet, right? And yeah, just letting it flow. I took it to work with me yesterday and did a bit on my lunch break as well. Yeah, I'm enjoying that. So that's that so far. I'm going to obviously let you know it might not be in this vlog, because I think this is going to probably take me quite a few more days of crocheting to get finished. So I don't know whether the end of this project will appear in this vlog or the next. But what I want to do when I finish this and sewn it all up is toss it in the washer and dryer and see if it feels any softer or any different, any drapier. See if my stitches maybe even out a little bit, but I'll do that later. So far, so good. And of course, it gives me so much pleasure to use this bag as well. The other thing which I have done this week, I told you when I finished that journal wrap that I had already started laying out fabrics on a backing for another one. So look at this one. Let me just line it up with the camera. I am just in love with this one. So when my friend Annette came over last week, the idea was for us both to do some slow stitching. She had already got some fabrics put together and she had machine sewn them down, and then she was embroidering around the edges of her shapes. I didn't even get that far. I got as far as laying my scraps down, and that was it. So after I laid my scraps down, I hand basted them and started to sew. And the plan with this one was to do less of the outlining of the patterns on the fabric and more running stitch. So I just started out by making a wavy line across the work like this, and then just echoing it and echoing it, with a few exceptions. So there's a couple of places on here. I'll lift this up to the camera a little bit. So with this heart, I outlined it and added a little star type thing inside. With this circle here, I added some flowers. I added a little lazy daisy thing, chain stitches in this shape. And again in the middle of that one. And for this half circle, I did some blanket stitch around the edge and just a little extra stitches and French knots. This heart also had a little star put inside it and some outlining. This flower is here because there was a tiny bit of batting peeking through, despite my efforts not to do that. And there's another little place there where I think I had to do that because it was just a little bit flappy abouty. So I don't know what I did. Oh, rats. The journal that I was using for my colour inspiration is upstairs, which I will bring down at some point so that you can see it all together. But there's a little bit of sparkle in my edge, my border fabrics there, and a little bit more of it there and there. Tiny bit of silver. So definitely a little bit less colourful or bright than the last one. Oh yeah, there's some blanket stitch around this one too. So slightly more pastel-y colours, and I also used this group of colours in my new cotton Pearl 8 threads. I had bought all of these. Now I did switch out one of these things. I can't remember which one, but one of the colours in the dark box I switched with one of the colours in the light because I felt it fitted better that way. And in the end, I didn't use this guy. So these bright colours, I think I should probably plan to use in my next project. And these pastel-y ones are ones I used in this project. Very pretty, very pretty, very pleasant to use. I did like using the Pearl 8 because it doesn't split as much as the strands of embroidery floss. And I didn't use any sort of special needle. It was just one I had in my hand sewing needle toolbox, which just had a big enough eye for this thread and a sharp enough point to go through the fabric and the batting. Nothing special at all. But yeah, I just love the colours. Love those colours. So my next step with this, obviously, is to finish it up. The edges are pretty tidy, actually, and the back of my work is pretty tidy. Look at that. Pretty amazing for me. So I'm going to have to just make sure that my edges are straight. I can see that's bulging out there. And figure out what I'm going to line it with. I don't know if this one's going to be big enough to put pen slots in like my last one. It's going to be borderline. I think by the time I've done all of that, it probably won't be tall enough to put pen slots in. So I might, once it turns into a journal wrap, I might end up just putting a pocket on each side. in the lining. Maybe. And then I also need to figure out what to use to tie it around it. I don't want to use my fabric twine this time because it's going to be too chunky for this. Much too chunky. But yeah, I'm loving this. I did consider, I know my sister doesn't watch my vlogs. How dare she not watch my vlogs? She's my sister. But I did consider making this for her and sending it over with the journal. But I thought I'm going to make some initial inquiries and see if she actually would use it. So I did say, do you journal and do you use notebooks? And she said, I used to, but not anymore. And I'm like, maybe it would be a waste of postage sending it to her, and I should think of something else for her at some future point. Look at this. It was meant to be. This fabric here is the same as this fabric here. I think I need to use some. So, seeing as it's a little bit creased, I am going to test out my new iron. My little Dritz mighty iron. I've put a teeny tiny bit of water in there. Not too much. I've got it set to high. Oh, there we go. The light just came on. So it doesn't have a hot plate or a silicone rest or anything. When you're not using it, you have to do that. But yeah, it heats up. And the steam, I think I have to do this for the steam. That button has to be up. Ooh, nice. It's so light. I wouldn't iron a large item with this. I have seen people online who do quilt videos who are ironing an entire quilt top with something this tiny. I don't think I'd do that because I would want to use a large iron for that. But for little jobs or small areas, or for repetitive jobs where you're doing ironing of seams in between every seam, when you have to kind of lean over and press a seam open or flip a fabric, it would be perfect. Yeah, it's lovely. It's nice and comfortable to hold. I'm not hearing any steam come out. Whoops. But it's working. Well, I have to say, I'm in love with this one. I am so excited about how this one came out. You know, I just sort of work it out as I go, and I never know how it's going to look when it's done. But it's all come together beautifully. I had this skinny ribbon hanging around in my stash. I had this button hanging around in my button stash. I've fastened it different from the last one. How did I do the last one? Oh, I've already moved on from that one. I can't even remember how I did the last one. Anyway, this is it. Ribbon, silvery button. And look, I used the last piece of this fabric. This piece was just right to fit my stitched part, and this pocket piece was just right to go into this area. If I had had a slightly bigger piece, I would have extended it all the way to the edges. Are you seeing this? There we go. In a way, I would have preferred it to extend all the way across and maybe put a couple of divisions in. But you know what? This fits in there. And I thought originally I was just going to put it on top, have this as a pocket for like bits of paper or whatever else you wanted to put in there that, you know, you didn't want to stick or put in your journal, and then wrap it. But if you want, you can just put that in the pocket so it doesn't slide out. And this fabric I found for binding the edge, it's a really neat one because it has an ombre effect, so it goes from dark to light across the width of the fabric. I Did notice some of these little shiny bits did seem to be flaking off though, which was not incredibly great, but I can live with it. So yeah, you just got to wrap and wrap. Not wrap and zap, wrap and wrap. And wrap it around a couple of times and then just around the button. I am in love. You know, the trouble with making things like this, you don't want to give them away. You just want to keep them all because they're so pretty. I'm going to have a new shelf in here. I think I'm going to have to figure out where to put it and what I'm going to, you know, which part of the room it's going to fit in. I'm looking around right now and I'm not really seeing much wall space, but I'm sure I can find a special shelf for some of the things that I've made recently that I'm really enjoying and I don't want to part with yet. You know, it's just because it's fresh. Once I've made something else, I'll probably be able to part with the previous one. But right now, everything I'm making is my favorite thing. I'm just loving it so much. It's Saturday, and I'm very aware that I'm due to get a video out ASAP. So we're going to finish this one up shortly. It's been a busy week, a tiring week, a lot of long shifts, and not enough time to craft. Today is the day off, but we still ended up driving because we ended up taking all the boys to Costco. A couple of them mentioned that they wanted to go around Costco, seeing as we were planning to go anyway. So all three of them came out with us in the end. And then we had lunch out. I said, seeing as it's my birthday next weekend, and I like getting them together at least for my birthday now and again. Maybe not every year, but you know, once in a while, it's nice to get all the family out together because when they're older, that doesn't happen very often. So yeah, we went to Costco, spent far too much money, and then we went out to lunch, and it was really nice. So yeah, we still braved the traffic. At least it's not too hot. Yesterday was blissfully cloudy and wet, and today, just at least not as baking hot. I know, I'm British. Weather update has to happen, right? So yeah, Mr. Stitches and I will have to go for a walk this evening to try and burn off some of the excessive calories from all that lovely food. So that's really all the crafty stuff I've shown you already, because we did the crochet, we did the slow stitching. I know there was a bit of repetition with the crochet because, as I said at the beginning, I had started filming stuff as if it was going to be a standalone video, and then I ended up incorporating it into this vlog. So I know I repeated myself a couple of times in the clips, but that's all right, right? But yeah, that crochet is kind of slow. You know, when I'm just doing trebles, I'm just doing a basic stitch, I can like motor along really fast, but unfortunately, it's just a little bit fiddlier. Probably not a good beginner project. I don't think I said that, but probably not a good beginner project because it's a little fiddly and you've got to figure out where to put your hook. And probably not good for like a black yarn either because you'd be cursing it so badly. It'd be like, I can't see the stitches at all. Anyway, I finished the Karen Slaughter book as well. So the second tome of the week is finished. It's Karen Slaughter's The Last Widow. It was quite the rollicking ride. It's about this couple, Will Trent. I think Will Trent has been in a few of her books. Will Trent and the woman is Sarah Linton, and something happens and she gets taken by some white supremacists. A white supremacist group snatches her off the street. Will gets pretty beaten up in the process. And so they have to figure out how to get her back again and what the heck is going on with this group. And they know that they're trying to make some big statement and probably kill a lot of people, but they don't know how. So that's the whole book. You don't have to read it now. That's the whole book. Anyway, it was a good read. I did enjoy it. And yeah, can't remember who recommended Karen Slaughter. I think it was one of my blog viewers, because I had said I was enjoying Jodi Picoult, and somebody else recommended Karen Slaughter, I think. One of you guys, I'm sure. So yeah, she does write well. I like that. So, little safety pro tip of the week. I keep meaning to mention this. I came down to my sewing room the other day and I sat in this chair right there in front of my sewing machine, and I didn't have any shoes on. Like just recently I've been wearing shoes again, Skechers, indoors and outdoors. Like I have an indoor pair and an outdoor pair now. Try and keep the plantar fasciitis pain at bay. Well, I wasn't wearing them that day. And I came down and I sat down and I moved my foot and I got a sharp pain in my foot. It was a needle. So, little safety tip here. Check your floor for pins and needles, and maybe wear something with a, sole, so that if you do accidentally stand on a pin or a needle, hopefully it doesn't go into your foot, because that hurt a lot. The other thing I didn't mention, which I need to add in here, I'm just going to put in a little bit of film over the top of me. Another new yarn, or should I say 4 new yarns at Michael's. I don't think I've mentioned this yet. Couple of years ago it could be, or maybe at least a year to 18 months ago. I don't think I have any of it left now. I bought online, maybe from yarnspirations.com or .ca. I bought some of that Red Heart Granny Square all-in-one, whichever one was buying and trying at the time. And there were a lot of mixed reviews about it, and a lot of people didn't like it because when they didn't get the gauge right, the different colors in the granny square weren't like landing at the beginning or at the end of the round perfectly. It's dyed in such a way that you should be able to crochet a granny square according to their pattern and get all the colors land beautifully as they should. Well, I like to do granny squares a certain way, and it isn't the way that they do it on the ball band. But I did manage to crochet up all the balls that I had bought to try, and I did make them into things. Actually, I've probably got one of the things hanging on the back of my door here. Hold on a minute. Oh, that's not it. Okay, one of them. I did make a really fun sort of fanny pack type thing, and all it took was 3 squares, and I lined it, put the zipper on the top and everything, and I really like it. I also made this bag with it. So this is just how did I do this? It's just a drawstring bag which I put a handle on. I didn't even remember I made this. I also made a sleeveless sort of vest tunic thing, which I've worn a couple of times, but not necessarily the sort of thing I want to wear out in public. But yeah, the whole point of this yarn was that you could carry on the whole square without doing any cutting and changing of colours, because the dye job did it for you. We have this yarn at Michael's now in Canada. Boy, did that take a long time to arrive. I guess there was a chance it would never have arrived, but it did. So we've got that one, which is the granny square one. We've also got a petite one, which I think is just a 2 round granny square. So the yarn is dyed for you to make hundreds and hundreds of little tiny, maybe not hundreds. I think for the large granny, the one skein made about 14 or 15 squares. So with the petite ones, you're probably going to get at least twice that many out of one skein. And then there's one now that's out called a flower square, which is actually really pretty. And so obviously they give you a pattern on the ball band, which is for this flower. So you have one color for the flower, and then the rest of the square is the border color. And that does look really nice. And then the fourth one is called quilt square. And so what you just do is make a square, like a solid square. It looked fairly plain in one color, and then the second color kicks in for the outside rounds. So it looks like just a dark square within a light square. And I guess when you sew them all together, it looks cool. So we have those as well. So yeah, I took a little bit of film of that the day I saw it. And I might have to bring one of the flower ones home to try. I'm not that bothered about the others, but I wouldn't mind trying one of the flower ones. It's nice to see the colours in the flesh, so to speak, because when I bought them online, you know, I was just looking at teeny tiny little swatches of these, and you know what that's like. It's so hard to pick. I did like the colourways I bought, but yes, so nice to be able to see them in person. So I think that's it. Let me just check my notes. Red heart yarn, told you about that. Needle in foot, told you about that. Told you about my reading. Okay. And then upcoming projects, I guess you'd say, upcoming things that are buzzing in my brain. I need to get on with that. There's a quilt top on my armchair over there, and I need to do a little practice run of the backing fabric that I chose to make that with, because it's a sheet and it's not cotton, and I just wanted to test that out. So that's got to come up soon. The second thing would be more of the crochet beanie. The third thing would be getting started on adding the colors, the fun colors, onto the front of the sweater that I knitted. And the fourth thing would be make something else with the slow stitching. Oh, I just love this so much. How will I ever be able to part with this? I don't really journal myself. You know, I'm making these things, and even though I don't journal myself, I love making these journal wraps. I suppose they would make good gifts for people, but as I said, I get a little attached to them when I'm working on them and when I finish them. That was the first one. That was the second one. Yeah, I don't have to part with them yet. I've got to show Mr. Stitches where I think I might be able to add in a few shelves, because you can't, it's like clothing and pockets, right? You can't have enough shelves, you can't have enough pockets. And every surface in this room has got stuff in or on it, so extra shelves would be great. I do have a little bit of space above my pegboard over there. Even if I could get another pegboard, I could put more hooks up and just hang things off it. I can't remember where those pegboards came from. I think one of my sons was able to get hold of them for me. All right, enough chat, Nicola. We're going to wind up this vlog here, and hopefully I'll have a nice minimalistic day tomorrow, during which I can get some stuff moving along with my other projects. I also am going to a craft night at Michael's tomorrow night. I haven't been to any of them. I got my 1-year certificate from them the other day. Apparently the 16th is my 1-year Michael's anniversary. Guess that would be today, wouldn't it? Is that today? So I have never been to any of the craft nights, and I guess if I had realized that in the craft nights you can basically pick your own craft, you just basically go shopping in the store for whatever you need to do a craft at the event for free, maybe I'd have gone to some before now. Anyway, one of the girls is leaving, and I'm going to try it out. I'm not sure what I'm going to make yet, but I'll be sure to show it to you sometime next week. So thanks for being here once again. Thanks for watching till the end if you did. And I'll see you again soon with some more fun stuff. Thanks a lot. Bye.